Hello, welcome to another presentation of the Solid Sports video blog. This is episode 189. Today's date is July 16th, 2022. Thank you for joining me this morning. I'm Troy West and thank you for watching the Solid Sports Gaming channel. As you come here for your latest video game playthroughs and some sports news as we do it every Saturday faithfully on the Solid Sports Gaming channel. Thank you so much. We're at episode 189. Really should be higher. The breaks that I took in between in the years, but I'm glad to be here this morning. Even though I'm tired as a don't want to curse, but I'm tired, man. Hopefully we can make this a shorter video today. But we got a lot to talk about though today. Major League Baseball, we look at the standings as we did an All-Star break. We took a look at both rosters from the NL and the AL. And we're talking about, the Baltimore Orioles. I want to say my Orioles. I am an Orioles fan though, but I always rep the Atlanta Braves, which everybody knows that I always bring up the story of why. But I also was an Orioles fan growing up as well, so it's good to see that they're doing well. But 10-game winning streak came to it last night. We'll talk a little bit about that, as they was the hottest team in baseball. The NBA, news still that as things calm down with free agency. The DeAndre Ayton news from Phoenix. The Suns will keep him as they match the offer by the Indiana Pacers. The Donovan Mitchell trade rumors been warming up, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And basically the net situation with Durant and Kyrie Irving, no changes yet. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. And we finish off our NFL Roundabout Series. We're about to do the last division, division number 8, the NFC West. So that means the Arizona Cardinals, the LA Rams, San Francisco 49ers, and the Seattle Seahawks. We'll talk about all 4 of those teams today, and just some touches on the channel, updates. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully it's not a long show. I am tired, so forgive me. I didn't pretty much get a wink of sleep last night, so I'm working on fumes right now. And then I gotta go back to work soon, well, later on this afternoon. So but I thank you guys. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of my work around work, which I always try to explain when I do the video game playthroughs as well, even though I've been doing a lot of videos. I think this week alone I probably did at least 20 videos with the Sonic Origins, which is doing great. We'll talk about that later on. And of course Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is doing pretty decent as well. So but the latest thing is Madden, that'll be out in a couple weeks, so you'll probably see some Madden videos. You'll still see some Call of Duty Vanguard videos as well. So thanks for all the support, by the way, especially with the Sonic Origins. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. Let's get into Major League Baseball. Let's talk about the Orioles. Orioles has been on fire. They crawled all the way back to a game above 500, but like I said, they fell to the Tampa Bay Rays 5-4 last night. Orioles been playing well. Obviously winning 10 in a row, it's hard to do in baseball. So they got dug out the hole, but despite all that, they still in last place in the AL East. Now the AL East, which we're going to talk about all the divisions, we're going to touch on the standings in a second, but that's got to be the best division of sports. Like I'm trying to think of any other division that's this tough. You got the Yankees, who's cooled off a little bit, but they still cruising. They got over 60 wins, and they with 12 clear Tampa, who the Orioles just lost to last night. They in second place. Then Boston, Toronto, and then the O's. But all 4 or 5 of these teams, even the Orioles now, you can put them in there, are great teams. Like if you look at the rest of the American League, which we will, if the Orioles, let's just think the Orioles was in the last place. If they was in any other division, they'd be easily in second place. In each division, especially the Central, they'd be clearly the second place team. In the West, they'd be the second place team. Well, Seattle is playing well as well, quietly. I think Seattle has a better record, but still, you put them anywhere else. So just to tell you how tough this division is, and every team is at 500 or better. So I think the Central, other than the Twins, everybody else is 500 or worse. So just to give you perspective, into the West, I think other than Seattle and Houston, every other team is under 500. So a tough division, but the Orioles are playing well. It's good to see them. The city is buzzing a little bit with some positivity. That's why I always like to see the Ravens do well as well, because it just changed the mood of the city with all the violence and stuff going on here in Baltimore. It's good to see a team do well, kind of unify the city a little bit. So hopefully the Orioles keep winning. Hopefully they can make a push for a wild card. But I still think it's going to be tough because I don't see the other teams in front falling completely off the map, but which will have to happen, like Boston, Toronto, or Tampa will have to just fall off. The Yankees too far ahead and they too talented. They struggled a little bit this week, but I think they still going to continue to win. That's one of those three teams fall. Maybe might be Toronto, even though I had Toronto go to the World Series, but they fired their manager this week, surprisingly, to me anyway. But they said it's more to underachieving. So, I mean, if you look at it on that end, I think Toronto has underachieved. But let's look at the standings real quick, since we're talking about them. Yeah, so the Blue Jays, I would say they underachieved, but they have some injuries as well throughout the season. And you just sort of hopefully be able to trust your organization, you know. So they must have saw something that we didn't see, and they let them go. So that's that. But let's fill up the standings now, and then we're gonna look at the All-Star rosters as well, the 4 rosters. We'll go over the starters again. Okay, so let's go to the standings. But yeah, I think the AL East is the best division in sports, like throughout all the major sports. The NBA don't really value the divisions anymore, so it's hard to see an NBA team. But the NFL, probably the division redoing the data West, and the NFC is probably a great division with all the teams are talented. Even though Seattle now losing Russell Wilson has come back down to earth a little bit. Yeah, so I mentioned the Yankees. They 62-28. Even though they struggled a little bit this week. Tampa winning yesterday. They had 50 wins finally. Then it's Toronto and Boston even at 48-43. Then the Orioles are 45-45. So hopefully, you know, one of these teams that's in front falls down a little bit. Orioles could get into that wild card. Well, they only 2 out the wild card, so I mean they still right there. In the Central, like I said, Minnesota about to be 50 wins. They 49-43. Cleveland 45-44. Chicago 45-45. They last week I think when I checked them, they was under, so they got back to 500. But they the 3 teams in the Central. Everybody else, well, Detroit, Kansas City, you know, they pretty much have finished. And in the West, like I said, Seattle quietly been playing well as well. They 49-42, but Houston still well above in that division, 58-31, as they start to get closer to the Yankees for the overall record of the American League. In the National League, Mets 56-34. My Braves 55-37, so they right there, 2 games out. Philly 9 out at 47-43. Then you got Miami 43-46, and then Washington just basically, I think, has the worst record in baseball. Yep, at 30-62. Central, Milwaukee Brewers, St. Louis Cardinals. They're the 2 top teams. They separated by 2 games, 49 wins, 50 wins for Milwaukee. So Milwaukee's at first right now. And then that's it, pretty much. Pittsburgh, Chicago, Cincinnati, way out of it. So I think, like I said, those 2 teams gonna fight for that division all year long. Dodgers also has made some space between them. San Diego and San Francisco. San Francisco has struggled as they coming back down. Rockies at 42-49. Arizona at 39-51. The Padres 51-41. They at second, but they 9.5 out. So the Dodgers made some room. They was all tight a lot of the season. Dodgers, Padres, and Giants, they all was close. But now the Dodgers have made their moves, even though the Dodgers have struggled with injuries as well. But they just too deep. That's why I think clearly they might come out the NL. I think the Mets and the Braves can challenge, but Milwaukee, I think to me they still don't score enough. The bullpen and stuff is good, but I think they scoring might hurt them. Cardinals with the pedigree, I think they got a chance. I thought they'd be playing better this year. but they struggled a little bit. So we'll see. Let's see what the Padres do when they get Fernando Tatis back. Will they elevate? So I mean, just a lot of things to think about. National League, those are the teams. America League, Houston and the Yankees are well above everyone else. But Tampa, Toronto, and Boston and the Orioles could challenge Minnesota as well. I like how Minnesota played this year, even though they only 49-43. So a long way to go. We at the All-Star break, but we got some separation. Like I said, the teams that are where they are, I think they're gonna pretty much stay where they are. It's just gonna be depends on matchups in the postseason from there on. So let's look at the All-Star rosters. Well, we're gonna look at the Home Run Derby participants as well. Let's look at that first. I saw the bracket this morning. A couple of guys you wouldn't think that was in it. Of course, Aaron Judge is not participating. But Albert Pujols, I was surprised to see Albert Pujols competing. Being an older veteran, I didn't think he would do it, but he'll go against Kyle Schwarber, who's the 1 seed. Albert Pujols, the 8th seed. Then you got Juan Soto against Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is from the Cleveland Indians. Juan Soto, of course, for the Washington Nationals. Schwarber, I didn't mention, is from the Philadelphia Phillies. And Pujols, of course, is a Cardinal. They got Julio Rodriguez, which I just really read up on him this morning. Rodriguez plays for the Seattle Mariners. Of course, the Mariners, I just told you how the Mariners are doing. And he will face Corey Seager, who I had to think about it. He's moved on to the Texas Rangers. I thought he was still a LA Dodger. So that's the 6-3 matchup. And then Ronald Acuna Jr. from my Braves, who I'm going to go ahead and say he's going to win. Just, root for him to win. And Peter Alonso for the Mets. I think he's kind of underrated. You don't hear his name as much as you would hear Bryce Harper and other guys, but he's having a great career quietly. And the Mets needed his bat because the Mets' big problem was they couldn't score, but they had deep pitching, but they still do. But Peter Alonso, he leads the league at RBIs, so having a great career. So definitely should get his name put up more. So that's your derby lineup. So now let's go to the All-Star rosters, where all those guys might be already on that as well. Let's see. I'm trying to get to the rosters here. Let's see. Apologize for that. Oh, let's go here. It's gotta be here. Then after we look at this, we're gonna move on to our NBA news. Okay, here we go. Okay, these are the starters. I don't see the reserves though. Probably have to go to another website. Because the reserves was named last week, so that's probably why it's hard for me to find the All-Star rosters. Okay, let's go back. Let's try this, even though I'm on ESPN app, but the ESPN Plus is with this roster, so I might can't. Yeah, so I'm not gonna be able to look at that. So that's Oh boy. Well, you know what? I ain't go because that's going to take a lot of time, and like I said, I don't want to take a lot of time. But I went over the starters last week. But if you want to look at the rosters, definitely look them up. But I just want to look and see because they. One thing I know about the rosters, no matter who your team are, you got at least one person on the team. You got to put at least one person from each team on the team. Kind of was curious to see, since the Orioles we played well, how many Orioles is on there, and things of that nature. But the All-Star game is Tuesday. The Home Run Derby is Monday. So if you want to look at the rosters, definitely look them up. I might look them up later, look at it for myself because I'm curious to see who the rosters are. They haven't named started pitchers yet either. Probably we'll hear that probably today or tomorrow, I'm guessing, who will start in the All-Star game as well. So let's go ahead and move on to the NBA. DeAndre Ayton, I'm gonna go with that first. I was surprised by what happened. The Pacers, this is what I think, because some people saying, well, the Pacers, well, probably more of a joking way, the Pacers always helping out other teams because they traded Malcolm Brogdon to Boston, which is in your conference, to pretty much probably get them to the finals because they need a point guard. If they come back with that same roster, they definitely gonna be better next year with a point guard. So they traded him to Boston. Just the other things they did in the past to pretty much seem like help other teams. But anyway, they gave it was the biggest in history, I heard. The offer sheet they gave to Ayton, which I'm trying to pull up the numbers here, was the all-time record. So maybe the Pacers probably really thought Phoenix wasn't going to match. And I wouldn't think Phoenix. I thought Phoenix pretty much was going to let him walk or try to trade him or sign a trade. I thought honestly that's what I thought that was going to happen with DeAndre Ayton. I think he's a great player. Of course, he's come up small in the biggest moments like this last year playoffs and in the finals against the Bucks the year before. That Giannis did what he did. So I thought they definitely was trying to move within the way the season ended. $133 million offer sheet, yeah. So it was 4 years, but they pretty much did Phoenix a favor, because they would have had to pay him more if they gave him max. It'd have been like another $30 million. So they saved like $30 million from the Pacers doing that, because he was a restricted free agent, I believe, and still on this rookie contract. So all that stuff factored in. So the offer sheet actually helped Phoenix to get him at a cheaper price and keep him. But I don't know DeAndre Ayton's demeanor, but if he got any type of demeanor or any type of pride, he's probably not happy. I wouldn't be surprised if he come out and say he want to be traded anyway, because of how things happen. So we'll see. But I think Chris Paul is a leader, so I think if, he's going to be there because he's stuck there. You can't trade him till, I think they say till January 15th, basically half the season, or, part of the season. So I think Chris Paul can probably get him in gear, get his mind focused. They gave Devin Booker his money, so he's good. Now I definitely think that closed the door on the Durant thing because you can't trade him. So and we're gonna talk about that, even though nothing has changed with Durant and Kyrie. But yeah, I was surprised. I was sort of surprised. I thought, I really thought Phoenix, if Trevor Durant will be moved, I thought it would be Phoenix. But now that pretty much throw them out of it, at least for now, because the Nets definitely going to want Ayton, and they know they're not going to give up Devin Booker or Chris Paul at the end of his career. But the Suns, to me, like, look at it from the Suns perspective, I think basically going to have the same team. I think they hit their ceiling. I think they would have had to make a move like to get Durant for them to stay in the elite class of the West. I think next year, I think everybody caught up with them. I think at best they probably finish in the middle of the West, like 4th or 5th. Like I see them finishing like 4th or 5th. I don't think they'd be at 1 seed. I'd be shocked if they come back and play as well as they did last year. I think teams are sort of on to them, and some teams are past. Like Denver will be better next year. Like I said, Dallas is coming up. Lakers is a wild card, but I'm just throwing about that because of the talent they have. And they got LeBron, but like all these teams in the West keep changing. Even the teams on the bottom end getting younger. So I think Phoenix is going to be in the middle of the pack, maybe a one and done. So I don't say this is a mistake because Ayton is a talent, but unless he step his game up and change, because Chris Paul is who he is, and Devin Booker is your primary scorer. So the pieces are decent. Maybe they could change the pieces up a little bit. The bench was sort of inconsistent, which I think was a weakness for them as well. And then the interior defense was bad, even though they got JaVale McGee, which I like a lot. But I think Phoenix is pretty much in that purgatory land, unless they make some type of move. And with them keeping Ayton this way, I don't see how they make anything happen. So they're pretty much going to have the same team they had last year, which is just not good enough. Now the Jazz have been making a lot of moves. Of course, we talked about the Rudy Gobert trade, which was a nutty trade if you look at what they gave up, what they got back. Well, for Utah, what Minnesota got up, and that's another team. I didn't bring them up, but Minnesota is definitely better with Rudy Gobert on the defensive end. But the Jazz, what direction they going in? They came out this week and said, a couple of days ago, said that Donovan Mitchell is available. Few teams came up. The Knicks is probably I wouldn't say front runner, but they've been talked about a lot in the news that could get Donovan, which I think depends on well, the Knicks don't really have it. Well, they got draft picks now from the draft. They got a lot of draft picks, so maybe Utah would just try to get picks. And I didn't know Danny Ainge was there, so this is his that's his MO. He usually get a lot of draft picks. Either he trades them away or he drafts well. See the Boston team now, he pretty much put together with Tatum and Brown. So you see how talented maybe they'll go that route. Or they could trade Mitchell and get more picks. With Donovan Mitchell, to me, is I think he's like second, third tier. I don't think he could be a number one guy. Which was disproven in Utah, but even though in the playoffs, he elevates his game tremendously. I respect him. He's one of my favorite young players. Him, John Morant. So this league is in good hands. The young players we got in this league, Tatum and Brown that I brought up with Boston. A lot of young guys. The draft this year, the guys, Park, the kid Chet from Oklahoma City. I've been watching him a lot through the summer league. Well, following him a lot. They've been talking about him a lot because he's supposed to go number one. Jabari Parker. So it's a lot of young talent in this league to carry the league. Because LeBron ain't gonna be around too much longer. We brought up Durant, but we're gonna talk more about Durant. He's on his his second stage of his career. So a lot of the veterans are a lot of the stars are getting older. Giannis, that's why I think Giannis is clearly the best player in the NBA right now. Even though they talked about him this week, saying that Rasheed Wallace could have been better than Giannis. And just to touch on that real quick, since I brought it up, I think Rasheed Wallace underachieved for his career. I honestly do. I think he could have been a number one guy. And I'm not talking about just score. Well, defensively he was great too, but I think he was an aggressive scorer to me. I think he could have been easily like score 30 points a game if he wanted to. I just think, well, of course, him fussing with the refs, you got to throw that in there. But he just he was a team guy. I mean, I don't want to say to his detriment because he won a championship and he always was on good teams. But I think he really tried to be a team guy. So I'm not even saying it in a negative way, but I think if he was more assertive for offense, he could have been a 30-point scorer, and he could shoot the basketball. So I kind of get the comparison. I think Andre Iguodala said it. I get the comparison, but Giannis is just on another level. Yeah, he don't shoot the ball as well, but he's just powerful. Basically, like I said, I think the comparison to Shaq is not too far-fetched, even though Giannis is much more athletic and slender and faster than Shaq. But Shaq, cool, of course, you could go look at my top 10. Shaq was something else at his prime. He just faded off at the end, but Shaq was dominant in his prime as well. So, but not to get off topic, I don't know if the Knicks going to get Mitchell. I think they're going to take their time though, and see what they got. I think Utah will take their time. That's what that age do, is go look at everybody. I heard Miami was in the running for Durant as well, but I think teams would have went Bam. I think Miami sort of would have keep everybody. I don't think they would have really give anybody up, especially not Bam and Jimmy Butler. Like, they're the two untouchable pieces there. Maybe anybody else Miami might give up, but and Miami, Donovan Mitchell would definitely help the Heat, because they be needing to score at times when the threes ain't falling. But that would be great, and then Jimmy Butler could probably elevate Mitchell to another level for his motivation, even though that Mitchell don't need that. He was stellar in postseason despite them losing. But we'll see how that develops. With like I said, just like last week, if something else happened, I'll definitely talk about it. There's my brother. Oh no. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the Nets. We already touched on them. Basically, the situation haven't changed. Durant still went out. He's been going back and forth with people in the media, which is normal for him. Like I said, now that this DeAndre Ayton thing happened, I don't see where he would go. Now, the Golden State thing, I'm gonna say, in my opinion, that cannot happen. He can't go back there. Like, I'm not even gonna entertain why. I wouldn't judge him for it. If he wanted to go back to Golden State, so be it. But he can't want to go back there. Like, I really don't think he's thinking about that. If he is, wow, like, I'd just be shocked. And maybe it's just me speaking as a fan, but his legacy he would just be another guy, he'd be talked about. But if he goes back there, especially now that they won a title, it's gonna be some people that's never gonna let that go. He just I think he'd put a ceiling on himself, far as if he cares about his legacy and all that. That's a whole nother story for another day. But he cannot, for that sake, he cannot go back to Golden State. And they would definitely be title contenders that shit, even if they give up Wiggins, which I think a lot of people will want, and some picks. Because Draymond, Clay, and Steph ain't going nowhere. So Wiggins will probably have to be a part of the trade. Let's just see if Brooklyn was entertaining that. And I don't think he would go there. I just don't. Like, I'm just gonna assume that by common sense. I'm calling common sense. There's no way he would want to go back to Golden State. But if he do, I'm just gonna say, well, we'll see what happens. I just don't see that happening. So I just threw that out there just to eliminate that. The Miami thing, like I said, they were gonna want Bam. I think I think Bam can't be traded to the Nets because of that rookie thing. Him and Ben Simmons is on that. You can't have the two of them on the same team. So that's why I think Miami is gonna be tough to do. And with Kyrie, the Lakers, they starting to get some traction. But it would have to be for Westbrook, and that don't make sense to me for the Nets. So I don't know. I'm starting to think that he's probably gonna wind up staying there. He got 4 years left on this deal. I think the Nets might just hold firm and just hold him. The Rat don't seem like somebody that will sit, but the way he is, I wouldn't be surprised if he just sits. Now, Kyrie Irving, don't know how, he's erratic how he thinks as well. He's not really saying what it. I think he wants to be staying Brooklyn because he opted in. If he wanted to leave, he would have just opted out. He just would have opted out and become a free agent. He would have got a market. So I think he wanted to stay there. Even though he got some negative press, about how many years and all that stuff. But this is just a 1-year deal, so I think if he really wanted to leave Brooklyn, he would have went ahead and opted out. Now I said he went with the LA because LA would only be able to afford $6 million. At least that's what they were saying. But if he really wanted to leave Brooklyn, he would have opted out. So I think he wants to be there. Now the dynamic is Kevin Durant tired of Kyrie? How is that a real thing, or because they was real cool off the court? Does he still want to play with Kyrie? All this stuff we don't really know. People are just making assumptions and assuming. So, but that situation it ain't getting no better, and it ain't gonna get no better until something is resolved, or till Kevin come out and say something, or even Kyrie come out and say anything. But the only thing I heard Kevin Durant say myself, that he said that this don't have nothing to do with Kyrie. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he said. But obviously he wants out. I gotta get it. If I'm the Nets, I would basically growl at his feet like, please, like, what can we do to make you change your mind? But since he's a good player, if he's still there, he really don't want to be there. It's going to be an issue when the season starts. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, if more stuff come out about that, we'll talk about that next week. So the NBA is probably about to get quiet for a while because all the big moves has been made. But I find a way to fit the NBA in next week. Okay, let's go to the NFL. As our final division, the NFC West, as we're going to cover that. Let me pull up that, because we're going to go through all the team schedules as well. I think it was some news this week. Not no major news. The latest on the Deshaun Watson situation, pretty much still no ruling on the suspension yet. But the Texans settled with claims within the in the organization, so the Texans are pretty much clear. Even though I think they got fined or something, I believe, for this situation. So, but I just wish Washington the best. Like I said, I hope he learned this lesson. The Browns, a lot of there's been a lot of talk about I hate when I get the brain farts. My man, Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, like his contract situation. Really, that Deshaun Watson made the NFL interesting because he got guaranteed $230 million, and then despite all the negativity around him, they gave it to him. So definitely a negotiated chip for Lamar and all these guys coming up for contracts. So but he's been in the news a lot. He's been jabbing with people on Twitter as well, but Bernard Pollard and everything else. But I think the Ravens, if they smart, they would go ahead and pay him, because they wait another year, because he's going to cost more. So I think he's going to have a monster year again. So I think they should just pay him now, because you can probably get him for a little bit less. If you wait another year, you might have to pay more unless he completely falls off. But we'll see. But we ain't here to talk about that. We're going to talk about the NFC West final division and division roundabout series. So we're going to do alphabetical order like we always do. Arizona Cardinals will be first. You got the defending champion Rams, San Francisco 49ers, and the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, trying to pull up the Cardinals schedule, but let's talk about them though while I pull that up. A lot of drama in the off season with the Cardinals, with speaking of contracts, with Kyler Murray. He wants a new deal, but I heard they said they got something in the works for him. They got Hollywood Brown, which they're going to need because DeAndre Hopkins is out the first 6 games, which we're about to look at right now. With the Cardinals, to be very talented on both sides of the ball. Was disappointed last year. I thought they would finish better. I thought they would win. I thought they was going to win the division, but the Rams was able to hold on and do that. Niners as well was pretty good. This is a tough division. But let's check out their schedule real quick. Then we'll talk a little bit more about it. Host the Kansas City Chiefs week 1 at home. That'll be an interesting, fun game to watch. Then at Las Vegas for the Raiders. Then host the Rams. Then at Carolina for the Panthers. Baker Mayfield, maybe. Then host the Eagles at home. Then on the road to Seattle for the Seahawks. Then they get the Saints at home. Then they go to Minnesota the next week. The Saints game is a Thursday night game, by the way. Then they at home for Seattle. Then they on the road in LA for the Rams. Then Monday night game at host the 49ers at home. Then face the LA Chargers at home as well. Then they got the Patriots at home. That's another Monday night game. Then at Denver for the Broncos. Then it's a Sunday night game. Cardinals host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then last 2 games at Atlanta for the Falcons. And then a division game against the 49ers on the road. But like I said, we'll see how this Kyler Murray situation develops. But they did say they got a contract, working on a contract for him. So if they sign him, I think they should. I think some people is a little off on Kyler, maybe because he's short and he's broken down the last 2 seasons, pretty much struggled in the second half. So we'll see if he can bounce back from that. But overall, I think he's a great quarterback. I like his mobility. I like his accuracy. Then we got Hopkins and now Hollywood Brown. I think they'd be fine. The running game got to improve. But I like the Cardinals. I think they make a little bit of noise, but they had a tough division, like I said, with the Rams and the Niners. Niners got a little bit of uncertainty there as well. We'll talk about them in a second. But let's move on to the defending champion LA Rams. We look at their schedule. Rams, they did it. I didn't have them. I had them as a playoff team. I didn't have them winning the Super Bowl, so congratulations to them. Trying to pull up their schedule here. They gave me the bootleg schedule. Hold on. I apologize for that. Phone freezing a little bit. Okay. But the Rams, you know, like I said, defending champions. Matthew Stafford trade paid off. We got that funny commercial too. The T-Mobile or AT&T, where they saying trade. Basically, just talk about the trade. Basically, talking about last year within the in the context of the phones. So I think that was clever. Okay, I got their schedule here. They host the Bills at home. That's a Sunday night game, for a Sunday night game of the season. Bills, there's a lot of traction on the Bills. A lot of people thinking they might break through this year. I'll give you my predictions in a month. Then Atlanta comes to LA. Then they at Arizona. Then at San Francisco. That's a Monday night game. Then the Cowboys come to LA. Then Carolina comes to LA as well, so 2 home games in a row. Then I think they got a bye because then they got the Niners at home as well, so 3 straight home games with a bye in between, so that'll be good for them. Then they go to Tampa to face the Buccaneers. Then they host the Arizona Cardinals. Then they at New Orleans and at Kansas City. Now I'm looking forward to that game, even though it's the different quarterback. Jared Goff that night lit it up in that Monday night game, so that's going to be bringing back memories of that. Then Seattle comes to LA, face the Rams. Then they face the old LA team on Thursday night, the Las Vegas Raiders at home. That's Thursday night, December 8th. And then they got a Monday night game at Green Bay in December, so that'll be interesting. That's a Monday night game as well. Then host Denver. Then Sunday night at LA to face the Rams, so battle LA, face the Chargers. And then at Seattle to end the season. Like I said, the Rams, like I said, I think they got a good chance. They could win it again. Aaron Donald, he had some issues with this. I think he had a contract issue, so he threatened to retire. But then he got his money. Jalen Ramsey's still there, so they, like I said, they did 2 corner pieces on defense. They lost Von Miller to the Bills, which is funny because they played them the first week of the season. I think the NFL be knowing some things that we don't know, how they schedule these games. Just like Cleveland playing Carolina the first week, and now big as a Panther, so you get your revenge right off the bat. But yeah, the Rams, to me, they got a real good chance. Cooper Kupp, awesome year he had last year. Again, the running game could be a little bit more consistent. I say like ages since Todd Gurley left, but Sean McVay finally showed that he's a genius. Him and Matthew Stafford, like they got a good rapport with each other. So the Rams are definitely gonna be a tough team. I think they definitely, clearly one of the top teams. Excuse me, in the NFC. And they pretty much almost bring their whole team back. So, even though Odell will probably be out, but I wonder if they're gonna sign Odell back. That's something I'm very interested in, to boost their receiver core as well. So, but they got a good chance. I think they clearly the best team in the division. Last year, you could argue all 4 teams. I think Seattle is who Seattle is now without Russell Wilson, but I think the Niners and the Cardinals got too many questions. I think the Rams sort of know who they are, and that's in the NFL, that's a big advantage. So I think the Rams will win this division, and again, they'll be close to winning another championship. Alright, let's move on to the San Francisco 49ers real quick. We make a good time though today. I'm running on fields though. Let's go to the Niners. Now the Niners, quarterbacks questions. Jimmy Garoppolo, will they move him before the season? I think they sort of now starting to think for real. They really like Jimmy. I think they just want to put it out there that maybe he might be available. I think they're gonna keep him at least for this season. Trey Lance ain't ready yet. Let's just put it up. Just see what it is. He's not ready. Honestly, I think he could be good, but I think you really don't know. Like he only played 1 game with the last 2 years because his college career ended. I think with an injury, so he didn't play this last year at college. So we going off what he did 3 years ago. So that's so I think he just needs to be more developed a little bit more. I think he could do it, but we'll see. I think the other quarterbacks in that draft is way ahead of Justin Fields. Those guys. So I think they would hold on to Jimmy for security blanket at least for now. Deebo Samuel, he's upset. Will he stay? They lost Mostert, so it's not gonna be the same 49ers team. So that's why I think they got a lot of questions. That's why I think we don't know how the season gonna go for the Niners. But let's look at their schedule. Speaking of Justin Fields, they play the Bears first on 9/11 on the road. Then they come home for the Seahawks. Then they at Denver to face the Broncos. That's a Sunday night game. Monday night, host the Rams. Then go to Carolina, face the Panthers. Then at Atlanta. Then they play the Chiefs. at home. Then they play the Rams again for the second time on the road this time. Then they face the other LA team, the Chargers, at home. That's a Sunday night game. Then at Arizona, that's a Monday night game. Then host the Saints at home. Then host the Miami Dolphins. Then they host the Buccaneers. I think it's a bye in between that though, somewhere. Or if not, 3 straight home games for 3 straight weeks, which is rarely sometimes. The Thursday night face the Seahawks. Then they face the Washington Commanders. I almost said the other word. At home, and then they in Vegas to face the Raiders, and then they end the season at home against the Arizona Cardinals. But the Niners, like I said, is they really trying to move Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't think so. I think this is a smoke screen just to keep his interest, to keep people thinking that he could be available. But I think they don't trust Trey Lance yet, so I think they're gonna Jimmy Garoppolo still be the starter for the Niners. And then the Deebo Samuel situation, how that's going to turn out. They lost, like I said, a lot of key players on offense as well. I don't know if they're going to make a run like they did last year. Got obviously the NFC Championship game, obviously, and lost to the Rams. But I think the Niners will still be a decent team, but I just think they got a lot of questions that you have to see for see how things turn out with that. All right, let's do our final team, the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks, of course, made a big traded away Russell Wilson as they move on from him finally. Well, he kind of wanted out last year, but Russell just ain't make a big deal out of it. But he wanted to leave last year, so this year he got moved to the Denver Broncos. So let's go and see the Seattle Seahawks schedule. Definitely losing Russell Wilson definitely gives them a step back. Right now they got Drew Lock. Drew Lock is their starter. You see what he has been, so definitely not an ideal starter, but maybe he surprised some people, maybe not. I like Geno Smith. I like how he played last year, so maybe he might get some time if Lock struggles, but we'll see. Let's go through their schedule real quick. They host the Broncos, so Russell Wilson come right back home. Like I said, the NFL knows stuff we don't know. Monday night, comes back to Seattle. You can expect some tears in that one, because he was a great Seahawk, so they probably celebrate him before the game. Then they go on the road against the Niners. Then they at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Then they go to Detroit, face the Lions. Then at New Orleans for the Saints. Back home for the Cardinals. On the road for the LA Chargers. Then they back home for the New York Giants. Then on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. So that's in it with them. This is a London game at Tampa. Well, it's not at Tampa, it's in London. So it's 9:30 a.m. start. So that's real early for a Seahawks fan. That means you gotta get up at 6:30 in the morning to watch them, because you're on the West Coast. So that's kind of sucks. But everybody gotta do those London games every once in a while. Then that back home against the Raiders. Then on the road against the Rams. Then they host the Panthers. Then also at home Thursday night against the Niners. Then they go to Kansas City, face the Chiefs. Then they get the Jets the week before the season. And then the final game of the season, they get the Rams again at home. But like I said, with Seattle, definitely a new regime. Honestly, if they struggle this year, I think Pete Carroll will be next. I think they'll move over. I think either he'll step down on his own, or they might move him out of there. I think he's the next to go. Then that'll pretty much clear the Seahawks of that era, which they've been winning, been a contender in the NFC. So I think if they struggle this year, I think Pete Carroll might be next, either fired or he might just step down and retire or something. But other than that, I guess to be optimistic, they still got talent. I like DK Metcalf. He's a great receiver. So if you give him the ball, the good things can happen. Tyler Lockett is consistent as well So, you know, the running game being consistent, even when Russell Wilson was there. If you can get all that together, the offense could be okay. Defensively, they got a little bit better. Jamal Adams, can he now, with his first full year there, can he elevate his level and lead that Seahawks defense? But other than that, I think they're going to struggle. I think compared to other teams in just this division, they're clearly the fourth best team. So they're going to struggle a little bit this year. No Russell Wilson, like I said. Drew Lock is your starter right now, and I just don't believe in him to be a consistent starter. I think they probably wind up going to Geno Smith sometime this season. But like I said, we get about 4 predictions next month, basically right before the season. So can't wait for that. Trading camps are about to warm up as well, as we're in the middle of July. So but this division, definitely the NFL is definitely the best. Probably this division, and then I would say the AFC North would probably be second. I would pick. Maybe the North, you know, they probably could rival, because if Seattle is so, you know, pretty much down to where they're gonna be, like those two, they're the two of the best divisions easily in the NFL. So, but I can't wait. I always love the NFL. Can't wait till it come back. We only got about a month until we really start talking about football again. Preseason will be in full swing, so we'll definitely see. But that will do it for our Roundabout series, and we about to wrap the show up. Like I said, don't want to waste too much time. Just some quick final thoughts. Thanks again for the Sonic Origins support. Clearly my best project, Sonic. I gotta give credit to Sonic as well. I think people just love Sonic, especially the retro games. So I think that's why it's done so well. Like I said, my very first video, it's over 1.2k views. So I thank you guys so much. Like I said, I thank everybody also on Instagram for getting some love there. I gotta post more stuff. Just not good with posting stuff. I've been trying to do stories. Stories get looked at a little bit more than my actual posts. So I gotta start doing that a little bit more. Maybe that'll help the channel rise up. But thank you so much for that. Even though Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles been doing well as well, holding his own. So and there'll be plenty more. But those projects, maybe even today. Today's Saturday. Like I said, I do most. You know, I don't do much on the weekends. Tomorrow, though, I'm gonna play the All-Star game. I meant to play it 2 weeks ago. But I did look out for my man, Good Vibes. I talked to him again yesterday, so shout out to him. Shout out to all my supporters, everybody. Everybody has been so grateful, you know, been so supportive, and I'm grateful for it. So thank you again. Like I said, nothing new coming up until Madden, which is in a couple weeks. There's no other games on my radar. I might go back to doing some King of Fighters 15 and Call of Duty Vanguard, which I've done. Like I said, I've noticed I've done like 15 to 16 of those videos. Like I said, it'd be more Ninja Turtles than Sonic, so definitely keep it tuned here. Like I said, thank you to all my supporters. Ronald the American Dragon, shout out to you, bro. I gotta catch up on some of your content. He do a lot of live streams, so I gotta catch up on that. Helping Hearts 888, she been a little, she ain't been posted as much, but in fact I might check on her today and see how she doing. Just everybody who's been supportive of me, I appreciate you guys, especially the other YouTubers. Just a disclaimer, which, well, this is for anybody. Like I said, about the friend request again. It was probably a supporter, a kid, who said he was helped with a game, which to me sounds weird, to be honest, and I told him that already. Like, how I'm going to help you with a game. You want to connect on the PlayStation. And I think the PlayStation Network is great as well. That's where a lot of my exposure also been coming from, the PlayStation Network. But he's an underage kid. I'm not going to put his age out there or his name, anything like that, because he's just a kid. And that's what I told him to explain to him, you gotta be careful on the internet. You don't know who you're talking to. Just like I don't know who you are, even though you claim to be a kid. So I'm still on the ropes. Should I even accept this request, or help him, because I don't even know how I'm going to help him when I can't go there and play the game for him. So I don't know, but he said he would have helped with Sonic Origins. So I don't know. I just go to catch his vibe, as his vibe seems to was already a weird vibe. So I might just stay away from it. But just like I said, with the friend requests, I just brought that story up because this just happened. But with the friend requests, like I said, I'm only accepting if I don't know you, I'm only accepting regular friend requests. And as far as like playing games together, I can when I got time. Like I said, I do a lot of my YouTube work over the week. And then at night I played with my brother Call of Duty. So like I said, if you're a Call of Duty person, we definitely can get it in. But I will be interested in playing some Turtles as well online. But every other game, like when I do a project, like especially with Sonic, I don't even think you can cross-play that, even though somebody asked me that as well, as far as the multiplayer. Which I don't think you can. You might can, but you know, I probably, I don't be having the time to do it. So I apologize in advance for that. But I also thank you guys for the support, though. But I know how things is in YouTube streets. Like, if you're a creator yourself, you already know how it is. Some people not genuine with their support, which I've noticed over the years. Or they looking to just troll you. So you gotta watch out for all that stuff. So I'm very aware of it. Keep my eyes open. But I still appreciate all the support. So with that being said, that's how I'm going to end this video. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the support as always. You guys has been the best, especially the last couple of weeks. And hopefully to see you soon. I'm gonna get this video, put it up. It's about 10 of 10. So I'm saying right before 11 o'clock, the video should post. And I might post something on Instagram for an indication you already did. But thanks so much, you guys. Y'all guys enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, please. And always, and peace and love always. I love you guys so much. Talk to you next week. Thank you.